the important thing to take away is just the thickness. That's what impressed me. When we drilled this hole, I saw the cuttings coming out of the hole. They were oxide, and they just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I'm like, this hole has some potential, and it didn't disappoint.
Welcome back to Mining Stock Education. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Bill Powers. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I was in Nevada, and I had my feet on the top of a mountain that is part of the Keystone project that belongs to U.S. Gold Corp, and it was about 9,000 feet. And from the top of this mountain, I could look about 10 or so miles to the north, and I could see a massive Cortez Hills complex, several mines, including Pipeline, that is now owned by Nevada Gold Mines. That's the Newmont Barrick joint venture. And I could see a long trend, the Cortez Trend, the prospectivity of why U.S. Gold Corp is exploring on the Cortez Trend at this Keystone project, which is about 20 square miles. So it's a big district scale play that the company hopes they'll find multiple gold deposits on. The company just had a press release. They did 6 reverse circulation drill holes as well as 1 diamond drill core hole. And I reached out to Ken Coleman. He is the project geologist, and asked for an update. So Ken, thanks for coming on Mining Stock Education. And perhaps you could start by giving us some of the key takeaways from this drill program.
All right. Thank you, Bill. It's good to be on here again. So key takeaways. Well, first off, this one hole out of our 7-hole program, Key 1905 RC, this drill hole has encountered the thickest and most continuous, strongest gold mineralization from any of the drilling we've done so far. And it's not necessarily total grade, but thickness and total amount of metal in drill hole. This is the thickest hole of gold drilled at Keystone. Historically ever. So importantly, this is a new target zone that hole was, Nina Skarn. It's 700 meters defined by soils and rocks along one of the intrusives. There are 2 major intrusives at Keystone, the Walty and the Mud Springs. So it follows about 700 meters along that, and there are several other gold bismuth tellurium anomalies along both of the contacts of both intrusives, over 2 kilometers of distance. That's pretty important. The prospectivity of that area, it's much larger than, for example, the third figure in our press release. I'm using the analogy of the McCoy Skarn by Battle Mountain. The Nina Skarn has a similar size. Our intrusives are larger, and the anomalism surrounding them are correspondingly larger as well. So potentially a much larger system.
With the McCoy Skarn, that deposit, how big is that deposit?
That deposit's been mined out, but it produced 650,000 ounces of gold.
And then with that hole, can you give us some intercepts and grades?
We had 2 thick intervals encountered in that hole, Key 1905 RC, an upper interval of 67.06 meters at 0.194 grams per ton, and a lower interval of 76.2 meters at 0.224 grams per ton. Now, there are higher grade intervals within both of those. In the upper intercept, we had 9.14 meters of 0.333 grams, starting at 12.2 meters. Another interval, 30.48 meters of 0.273 grams per ton, starting at 36.6 meters. And then moving down to the lower intercept, the 76.2 meters at 0.224 grams per ton, that had 2 intervals as well. 25.91 meters of 0.167 grams per ton, starting at 150.9 meters, and 25.91 meters of 0.408 grams per ton, starting at 182.9 meters. And that particular interval includes 12.2 meters of 0.706 grams per ton, so it's a little bit higher grade.
And the nearby mines with the Cortez Hills complex there to the north, what is the average grade that they have produced at over the years?
Cortez Hills is a high-grade Carlin-type deposit. We're looking at a skarn here, so the two don't compare. So let's keep that in mind. But some of the drill holes they drilled at Cortez Hills were 400 feet over an ounce per ton. And the average grade, I'm not certain off the top of my head, well over probably 3 or 4 grams per ton.
So what should be the expectation for success where we could be getting into some economic mineralization with this target?
Looking at the skarn targets, the important thing to keep in mind exploring skarns is the mineralogy is important. The minerals you encounter are indicative of what type of skarn you have. And so some of them deposit gold more efficiently directly adjacent to an intrusive. And other styles, it's more distal. And we have ideas of both at Keystone. So the ones that typically are closer to intrusives, that's McCoy analogy, 1 to 2 grams over pretty meaningful thicknesses. It's a matter of tonnage. This would be open pit heap leach stuff, and we did our cyanide soluble analysis on this stuff because it's near surface and oxide, and the recoveries were great. The other skarn type, a reduced skarn, more distal, similar to Copper Canyon Fortitude deposit to the north of McCoy. Those tend to be more distal and higher grade from the intrusive center, so 6-7 gram type material. So we have the potential for both. We have indicators for both, especially in an overlap zone between our two intrusives, the Walty and the Mud Springs. Those two intrusives are generating the footprints, geochemical footprints for both types.
In the McCoy pit, obviously you said that's 650,000 ounces, but we're shooting for the elephants here in elephant country, where Nevada has several gold deposits, over 20 million ounces. And one of the things the press release indicated was that you believe you've intersected the halo of a large gold system. Can you elaborate at all on that?
Yes, I can. And the point of that is a matter of the thickness, and that my commentary about whether we're close or far from an intrusive center. We're up against the Walty intrusive with this intercept, and with the style of the minerals in the hole, you would expect the grades to increase as you get closer to the intrusive. Well, if you look at our cross-section, the grades do not increase as we get close to the intrusive contact. That means the Walty is probably not the causative intrusive. Potentially it's the Mud Springs. That's important. That's quite a ways away, about 1 kilometer away in some parts. So that's a long way for a lot of gold to be traveling. The potential is much larger off to the southeast toward that intrusive. Secondly, this is an Eocene magmatic system, and these things are zoned, and the McCoy district is a great one to use. So as you step out from the intrusives and the scar mineralization, 1 to 3 kilometers, you get in the realm of Carlin-types. And at McCoy, the Carlin-types and the polymetallics, the original Cove deposit, much larger gold endowment, several million ounces. Right now, the Helen zone's over 1 million ounces, Carlin-type system. So I see that same geometry, the same types of structures and potential host rocks at Keystone, specifically looking at Greenstone Gulch as one of our target areas, and McCluskey West as very good potential for Carlin-types.
So we're looking for not just gold skarn, but also the Carlin-type deposits in this project.
We're looking for every deposit type we can possibly have in this magmatic system, and that includes skarns, polymetallics, and Carlin-types. The Carlin-types are the big boys, so we have that potential there.
Your press release also mentioned cyanide solubility. Can you elaborate on the significance of this?
Yes, the cyanide solubility assays basically take your pulps and digest them in cyanide for about an hour and see how much gold can be recovered from that assay sample. And in this case, in an hour, some of our cyanide solubility results were over 90%. So that means the gold will come out of the rock quickly in a leaching scenario. So the gold that we've encountered in this Nina skarn target is cyanide soluble. That bodes well for simple and efficient recovery.
And that would deal with metallurgical tests. Of course, we're not there yet, but
no.
It's just a positive indicator early on.
It's a positive indicator early on, and I anticipated with the thickness and continuity of the grades in this hole, someone might ask the question, so we went ahead and ran them. So we have the ability to answer that question.
So then this drill program follows up on last year. These are even better results than you saw last year, and it basically further helps you vector or target in on your next targets for the next drilling season in 2020?
That is correct. That's every program. The more holes you put in, the more you learn of the subsurface, and you can tie it into what you have at the surface and better place your holes for the next year. It's a process. It's a process for everybody. You can have one hole drilled and make a discovery. It could take 300 holes. It's really hard to say, but yes, this gave us some much more information. Importantly, the amount of gold that we encountered at Nina Skarn there's a strong system there. That's a lot of metal put into the ground in that little area. It's one hole. So
I was with Luke Norman, one of the co-founders of US Gold Corp, when I visited the Keystone project 2 weeks ago. And one of the things he said is that you can drill yourself out of business, especially on a 20 square mile project, that you have to be very strategic so you don't blow the treasury in finding that discovery. Over the winter, then, you're going to be studying the data. I mean, what are the plans for the next few months? Because I know this project isn't drillable in the winter.
Yes, that is exactly what will happen. We'll go through all of these data, some additional surface mapping information from earlier this year I completed, everything we have to date, all of the data, and analyze it and try to come up with more targets and see where we need to go. That's what you do in wintertime. So it's a good thing. Just going out there dropping a hole, it doesn't help many people. So, and Luke's right. Yeah, this big of a property, you have to be careful, and that's what we're doing. This drilling we did this year, these are target specific holes, and they didn't disappoint. The ground conditions, the metals we encountered, everything.
Any final thoughts you'd like to share about this recent drill program?
Last of all, the important thing to take away is just the thickness. That's what impressed me. When we drilled this hole, I saw the cuttings coming out of the hole. They were oxide, and they just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I'm like, this hole has some potential, and it didn't disappoint. So, yeah, for investors, keep that in mind. The thickness is what matters here. So, and we need to move into where the better grades are, and with skarn systems, you can do that based on the mineralogy. So I think we're in a good standing right now, Bill.
US Gold Corp trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker USAU. I'm a shareholder. Website is usgoldcorp.gold. Ken, thanks for coming on Mining Stock Education and giving us an update. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill, and you're welcome. I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to this Mining Stock Education podcast. Please subscribe and share with like-minded investors. Visit us on the web at MiningStockEducation.com for more resources on precious metals and natural resource investing. At our website, you can also sign up for our free newsletter for interview transcripts, stock picks, and more.